Baba Vanga's 2025 warning: 3 countries will rise, 3 will collapse. What if the world we know is standing at the edge of a silent storm, one that reshapes the fate of entire nations? Baba Vanga, the blind seer whose prophecies have echoed through decades with uncanny precision, left behind a message for the year 2025, one that speaks of rising powers and sudden collapse. She foresaw 3 nations rising like mountains from mist, and 3 others sinking into shadow. Could her vision already be unfolding before us? Are we witnessing a turning point in global destiny, one hidden in plain sight? Today on The Journey of Wisdom, we delve deep into the heart of this mysterious prophecy. Which countries may rise, which may fall, and what does this mean for the balance of our world? If you're drawn to uncover truth, explore ancient insight and understand the forces shaping our future, then stay with us. And if you're new here, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom, where insight meets curiosity and the path to understanding begins. Number 1. Baba Vanga and her prophetic abilities. To truly grasp the meaning behind Baba Vanga's 2025 prophecy, we must first understand who she was. A blind mystic from Bulgaria, often referred to as the Nostradamus of the Balkans, whose words have echoed across time with an uncanny accuracy. Her predictions, such as the fall of the Soviet Union and the tragic events of September 11th, are not merely coincidental. They speak to something deeper, perhaps a sharpened intuition born of suffering, or a rare insight into the nature of human cycles. Some believe she channeled divine messages, while others argue that she simply had an extraordinary ability to observe patterns in human behavior and geopolitics. Either way, her prophecies have captured the imagination of millions, because they often hold a mirror to our current reality. As the Buddha once said, "All that we are is the result of what we have thought," reminding us that insight, whether divine or human, stems from deep awareness and mindfulness. In this way, Baba Vanga's visions act as both a warning and a guidepost. Now her forecast for 2025 arrives at a moment of profound transformation. We are witnessing technological revolutions that are redefining how we live and connect, environmental crises that challenge the very fabric of our survival, and a geopolitical landscape that shifts like sand underfoot. It is no wonder that her predictions are once again gaining attention. He reportedly foresaw a dramatic shift in global power dynamics, 3 nations rising in influence and 3 others falling into decline. Though she never named these countries directly, many interpret her visions as symbolizing the outcomes of current global tensions, economic instability, and climate pressures. This brings us to a powerful truth that aligns with Buddhist thought. Nothing is permanent. Everything is subject to change. This impermanence is not a reason for fear, but a call to live wisely, to act with compassion, and to remain grounded even in uncertain times. The symbolism in Baba Vanga's prophecy invites us to look beyond literal interpretations. Her visions often spoke through metaphor, much like the Zen koans that push us to awaken beyond logic. If some nations rise while others fall, could this also reflect the moral and ethical choices made by societies? Those who act in harmony with nature, uphold justice, and care for their people may thrive, while those driven by greed, division, and exploitation may falter. This echoes the Dhammapada's wisdom. As a flower does not pick and choose the bees that come to it, so should we treat others with kindness, regardless of who they are. The rise or fall of nations may begin with how they treat the vulnerable, how they respect the earth, and how they navigate the challenges of this era with humility. So what can we as individuals take from this? The future is not fixed. It is shaped by our collective actions and individual choices. Whether we believe in prophecy or not, the value of such warnings lies in their power to inspire reflection and positive change. As you listen to these words, ask yourself, am I contributing to the rise of goodness in the world, or am I complicit in its decline? Now is the time to cultivate wisdom, strengthen communities, and practice compassion, not just as a spiritual idea, but as a daily action. Whether Baba Vanga saw the future or simply understood the present deeply enough to foresee its natural course, her message remains relevant. Transformation is coming, and it's up to us to meet it with clarity, courage, and conscience. Number 2. 3 countries destined to rise. 1. India, the rising Eastern superpower. Let's take a thoughtful walk through the mysterious lens of Baba Vanga's prophecies, focusing on one of her most talked-about predictions, the rise of a great Eastern power. When we pause and ask ourselves, could that power be India? A wave of signs and development starts to unfold in front of us. Baba Vanga, the blind mystic from Bulgaria, was known for making predictions that often challenged the imagination. In this case, she spoke not just of a country that would grow economically, but one that would rise in wisdom, science, and global presence, a country whose spirit and innovation would influence the world deeply. Now take a look around at the modern landscape. India, with its ancient roots and youthful ambition, seems to be stepping boldly into that very role. Its economic rise is not just impressive, it's historic. Forecasts suggest that by 2025, India will outpace both Germany and Japan, becoming the 3rd largest economy in the world. But numbers alone don't tell the whole story, do they? Baba Vanga's vision was never just about GDP or wealth. It was about a transformative shift, where a nation once seen as emerging becomes a leader in human advancement. Today, India is pushing boundaries in ways that few could have imagined a few decades ago. From launching missions to the Moon and eyeing Mars through its Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan programs, India is not just catching up in space exploration, it's pioneering in affordable, efficient space technology that inspires both developing and developed nations. The world watched in awe as India became the first country to land near the Moon's south pole, something even the oldest spacefaring nations hadn't done. That moment wasn't just a national achievement, it was a sign of changing tides. But the rise of a nation is also written in its mindset and its innovations. India is becoming a hotbed for artificial intelligence, digital transformation, and homegrown tech that solves real-world problems at scale. Whether it's in healthcare, education, or sustainable farming, Indian entrepreneurs and engineers are stepping forward not just to create wealth, but to uplift millions. Can you feel the shift? It's not just about advancement. It's about intention. The heart of India's rise seems rooted in both ancient wisdom and future-focused courage, blending values and vision in a way few countries have managed. Even in renewable energy, India is becoming a global voice, championing solar power and clean tech while balancing the needs of a massive population. And let's talk about diplomacy. India is increasingly becoming the bridge between East and West, North and South, offering mediation, dialogue and partnership in a world that often leans toward division. Its presence in forums like the G20, its outreach to African and Asian nations, and its stance on global cooperation reflect the kind of leadership that aligns with Baba Vanga's foresight. Not just strong, but wise. So when you hear the name India today, do you only think of its past, or can you now see the outlines of a future superpower taking form? What do you think it truly means for a nation to rise in today's world? Is it simply about economic and military strength, or is it about the ability to inspire, to lead with humility, and to lift others along the way? In the end, Baba Vanga's prophecy challenges us not just to observe, but to reflect. Perhaps the deeper message here is about what kind of power truly matters in a rapidly changing world. Is it dominance, or is it influence, grounded in culture, compassion, and creativity? India's journey isn't complete, and challenges remain, but its direction is clear. So the lesson we can all take from this is simple yet profound. Greatness is not given, it's grown. Through perseverance, vision, and service to something larger than the self. As you reflect on Baba Vanga's mysterious foresight, ask yourself, what does it truly mean to rise, and how can we each rise in our own way to contribute to a better world? 2. Brazil, the green leader of the South. Let me take you on a deeper journey into one of Baba Vanga's most intriguing prophecies, one that speaks of hope, transformation, and leadership rising from the lush heart of the global South. She spoke of a powerful shift in the world, a time when not just military or economic might would define greatness, but when a country's ability to protect and nurture the earth would become the true measure of leadership. Many believe she was pointing toward Brazil, a nation that has long struggled with economic instability, political corruption, and environmental degradation, yet now stands at the edge of something remarkable. When we look at Brazil today, especially through the lens of 2025, we're seeing a country beginning to fulfill that vision, rising not with weapons or war, but with wind turbines and solar panels, with rivers that power homes, and with vast green forests that breathe life into the planet. Brazil is already one of the world's largest producers of hydroelectric energy, and its growing investments in solar and wind power signal a clear direction, a move toward becoming a true global leader in sustainability. This isn't just about economic growth, it's about awakening a deeper responsibility to the earth and to future generations. As the Buddha once said, the forest is a peculiar organism of unlimited kindness and benevolence that makes no demands for its sustenance and extends generously the products of its life activity. Doesn't that sound like the spirit of Brazil's Amazon? The very heart of the country, and perhaps the heart of the prophecy itself. Now let's pause and really reflect. Can a nation that was once seen as struggling and divided truly become a global light for sustainability and environmental wisdom? I believe the answer lies not just in statistics, but in the intention behind every step Brazil is taking. In recent years, the country has begun to treat the Amazon not as a commodity to be exploited, but as a sacred trust. This is where the prophecy and reality begin to merge. Baba Vanga didn't merely predict political shifts, she foresaw spiritual awakenings, moments when nations would begin to act from a higher awareness. Brazil's path isn't just about being the green leader of the South. It's about embodying a deep sense of interconnection with the earth. And isn't that what the Buddha taught us? All things arise and pass away. Strive on with diligence. Brazil is striving, perhaps imperfectly, but diligently, and with that comes the power to inspire the rest of the world. But let me ask you, what do you see when you look at Brazil today? Do you see a land of possibility, a country rewriting its future by aligning with nature instead of dominating it? Do you think the world is ready to follow a new kind of leader, one that teaches not through force but through harmony? This is a crucial question for all of us because in a time of climate change and ecological crisis, we are not just looking for innovation, we are looking for wisdom. And perhaps, just perhaps, Brazil is beginning to embody that. In this light, Baba Vanga's prophecy isn't just a mystical vision. It's a call to action, a reminder that leadership can come from those who listen to the earth, protect its life, and lead not with ego, but with empathy. So, how do you feel about Brazil's journey? Can you sense a global shift in how we define progress? I'd love to hear your thoughts, because this is not just Brazil's story, it's all of ours. The world is shifting, and Baba Vanga may have seen it coming. If this message resonates with you, drop a "Truth Awakens" in the comments. Your voice matters in times of change. Stick around. What's coming next could help you prepare for the unexpected. 3. Turkey, the bridge between continents. As we reflect on Baba Vanga's mysterious foresight, one nation appears to carry the weight of both prophecy and potential. Turkey, the land where continents meet, cultures converge, and history endlessly echoes into the present. Positioned like a sentinel between Europe and Asia, with the Bosporus Strait flowing like a vital artery through its heart, Turkey is more than a bridge. It is a pulse point of global movement. With nearly 10% of the world's trade coursing through its waters, the country holds not just geographical importance, but economic and geopolitical leverage that few can rival. Yet Baba Vanga's vision wasn't merely about maps or trade routes. It was a deeper sense of Turkey's unfolding destiny, one where ancient strength reawakens through modern ambition. In recent years, Turkey has invested heavily in diversifying its economy, advancing its defense technologies, and asserting its voice more firmly on the world stage. This emergence isn't sudden. It's the fruit of a long-standing intention to become more than a transit point between East and West, but a leader that embodies the strengths of both. The Turkish defense industry, once dependent on foreign imports, is now increasingly self-sufficient, with innovations that garner global attention. Its economy, although challenged at times, continues to find resilience in regional influence and partnerships. More notably, Turkey has adopted a more assertive diplomatic posture, engaging in mediation across the volatile Middle East, seeking to broker peace where other voices fall silent. As the world grapples with polarizing forces, shifting alliances, and the erosion of old norms, Turkey's capacity to dialogue with both sides of a divide, be it cultural, political, or ideological, makes it a uniquely placed actor in shaping a multipolar world. One might see echoes of Buddha's wisdom in this. Just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life. Turkey's evolution is not just in weapons or policies, but in finding its deeper purpose in global balance, perhaps even spiritual reconciliation. In times of uncertainty, it is often the nations that can hold contradictions. Tradition and innovation, religion and modernity, East and West, that become the peacemakers. As Rumi, the great Sufi mystic born in present-day Turkey, once wrote, "Don't get lost in your pain, know that one day your pain will become your cure." Turkey, a nation shaped by centuries of conquest and complexity, seems to have taken this to heart. Whether Baba Vanga foresaw a rise in political power, spiritual significance, or economic command, one thing is becoming clear: Turkey's story is far from over. It may, in fact, just be entering a powerful new chapter. For those of us watching from afar, the lesson may be to recognize the quiet potential in places we often overlook. Just as Turkey learns to balance the weight of its past with the pull of its future, we too can learn to find peace in the tensions of our own lives. As the Dhammapada teaches, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. Let Turkey's journey remind us that transformation comes not through resistance, but through wise action and awareness. Perhaps the message is not only about a nation rising, but about a world learning how to reconnect through bridges, not walls, through vision, not fear. Number 3. 3 countries facing collapse or crisis. While Baba Vanga's prophecies hint at the rise of powerful new nations, they also deliver a stark warning: not all will thrive. Her vision for the year 2025 points to a moment of reckoning for 3 of today's global giants. As emerging powers rise and reshape the world order, some long-standing leaders may find themselves on unstable ground. Which nations will face these looming trials? And what forces are set to challenge their dominance? The answers may be hidden within the complex web of today's global tensions and the rapidly shifting balance of power. 1. Russia, leadership crisis and economic collapse. Have you ever wondered what could shake the very core of a global superpower from within? One of the most mysterious voices from the past, Baba Vanga, a blind Bulgarian mystic whose predictions have stirred curiosity and debate for decades, allegedly left a chilling prophecy about Russia in 2025. She spoke not of war from the outside, but of turmoil from within. Her warning? That a leadership crisis would emerge, one so severe it could lead to a collapse of the current government structure and plunge Russia into economic disarray. If you're hearing this and thinking, could this really happen? You're not alone. It's a question echoing across global discussions, especially as we look at the ongoing pressures Russia faces today. Let's break it down together. Baba Vanga's prediction wasn't vague. It pointed directly to internal betrayal and a struggle for power at the highest levels. What might that look like? Political analysts today talk about quiet tensions within the Kremlin, growing dissatisfaction among the population, and economic pain amplified by years of sanctions and international isolation. Could it be that these very conditions are creating the perfect storm she foresaw? And if so, what could a leadership breakdown actually mean, not just for Russia, but for the world? Russia, a country long known for its strength and resilience, may be approaching a tipping point. Baba Vanga's vision of internal chaos suggests something more than just political instability. She spoke of a dramatic shift, an upheaval that could leave the nation reeling and vulnerable both economically and socially. Just think about the impact of a financial collapse in a country that plays such a central role in the global energy market, in military strategy, and in geopolitical dynamics. If the ruble crashes, if institutions crumble, if leadership is fractured, what happens to the people, to everyday families, and to the global markets that are inextricably tied to Russia? These are no longer just predictions or possibilities. They are part of real conversations today among economists, political strategists, and international observers. The pressure on Russia is mounting. Sanctions have already strained its financial system. Foreign investments have slowed, and its currency has taken hits. If 2025 truly brings the economic collapse Baba Vanga spoke of, the consequences won't stop at Russia's borders. We'll all feel the tremors in one way or another, through fuel prices, global market shifts, or political instability. But here's where you come in. What do you believe is truly unfolding behind closed doors? Do you think this is the beginning of a long-foretold prophecy? Or are we simply watching the natural cycle of politics and power? It's easy to be swept up in fear or sensationalism, but Baba Vanga's messages often serve as a mirror, urging humanity to pay attention, to prepare, and to respond with wisdom rather than panic. So, what lessons can we take from this? First, no empire, no matter how vast, is immune to internal collapse. Power that is not balanced with justice, compassion, and adaptability will always be fragile. Second, as global citizens, we must not only observe these shifts from a distance, but learn from them. How can our own communities be more resilient? How do we ensure that leadership, wherever we are, is accountable and transparent? And finally, Baba Vanga's warning, whether literal or symbolic, reminds us that real change often comes from within, not from outside attack, but from inner conflict and unresolved truth. What are your thoughts? Could this be a turning point in modern history, or simply a misunderstood moment in time? Your perspective matters, because the future, in many ways, is shaped not just by predictions, but by how we choose to respond to them. If you've made it this far, you're already uncovering the mysteries behind Baba Vanga's chilling 2025 prophecies. Comment below with Future Seeker to show you're ready to face the truth, no matter how shocking. Don't go anywhere. There's more to reveal about the rise and fall of nations. Stay until the end to discover what could shape the world's future. And yours. 2. United Kingdom breaking apart. Let's take a closer look at one of the most unsettling parts of Baba Vanga's alleged predictions for 2025, the possible unraveling of the United Kingdom, and ask ourselves, are we truly prepared to witness history shift beneath our feet? According to interpretations of her visions, a major former colonial power could face a deep and painful decline, and many believe she was pointing directly at the UK. Now, if we look around, the signs aren't just whispers in the wind. They're loud, visible tensions that have been brewing for years, especially since Brexit shook the foundation of the Union. That decision, as many of you might remember, was not just about leaving the European Union. It stirred deeper questions about identity, sovereignty, and the very fabric that binds the nations of the UK together. Here we are, just a step into 2025, and we're seeing movements in Scotland calling more passionately than ever for independence, voices in Wales growing bolder, and conversations in Northern Ireland that revisit long-standing divides. It's no longer just political debate, it's becoming emotional, personal, even generational for many. Think about this for a moment. What does it mean when parts of a nation start to question whether they still belong? What happens to the identity of a country when unity no longer feels natural? These aren't just political questions. They cut to the heart of belonging, history, and trust. Baba Vanga's warning wasn't just about borders redrawn. It was about a collapse of unity, of shared purpose. Add to that her foresight of financial instability in Western Europe, and you begin to see a bigger picture, one where the UK's economy, already pressured by inflation, energy concerns, and shifting trade relationships, might not have the resilience it once did. The pound has had its swings, yes, but economic volatility touches people directly, in jobs, in living costs, in national confidence. If you've been feeling like things are more uncertain lately, you're not alone. There's a collective anxiety, a sense of holding our breath as the UK stands at a crossroads. Could this really be the beginning of the end for the United Kingdom as we've known it for centuries? And if so, what kind of transformation lies ahead? Are we watching a painful collapse, or the birth of something new and potentially more balanced? That depends a lot on how leaders respond, how people choose to engage, and whether there's still a shared vision for the future. Baba Vanga's prophecy, whether you believe in it fully or just see it as symbolic, acts as a mirror, reflecting back at us the vulnerabilities we often try to ignore. So I want to ask you directly, do you think the UK can hold itself together in these times of change? Or is separation now part of an inevitable course? And more importantly, what should unity look like in today's world? Should it be forced by history or chosen with intention and mutual respect? These aren't easy questions, but they're important ones. We're not just observers in this story. We're part of the generation witnessing it unfold. Let me know what you feel about this, because sometimes it's in our honest reflections and shared conversations that real understanding begins. 3. United States, division and instability. Among the most talked about elements of Baba Vanga's mysterious prophecies for 2025 is her forewarning of unrest and upheaval in the United States, a country long regarded as a symbol of global power and democratic resilience. Her visions have often focused on the rise and fall of great civilizations, and for the US she hinted at a future not marked by external enemies, but by internal cracks. In this foreseen chapter of American history, division does not merely refer to political disagreements. It reflects a nation stretched thin across ideological, economic, and cultural lines. These are tensions that, while not new, appear to be reaching a dangerous threshold. Whether it's the widening gap between political parties, growing distrust in institutions, or the deepening rift between urban and rural communities, the sense of being united in the United States feels more like a nostalgic memory than a current reality. Owing to those who study her predictions, Baba Vanga allegedly foresaw a moment of great leadership turmoil, a potential shake-up in governance that could lead to confusion or crisis in the country's direction. Paired with signs of financial fragility, this paints a scenario where the American economy might stumble under the weight of inflation, market instability, or global shifts in power dynamics. In today's world, these concerns feel less like distant speculation and more like the continuation of trends we're already witnessing: rising national debt, uncertainty in tech-driven job markets, and the ever-increasing cost of living. When people feel financially squeezed and politically unheard, unrest often follows. The potential for protests, widespread frustration, and even isolated civil disturbances cannot be dismissed outright. Not as fear-mongering, but as a call to examine the underlying causes that fuel public discontent. Still, it's important to remember that America's story has always been one of reinvention and recovery. From civil wars to economic collapses, The nation has time and again shown an ability to confront adversity and rebuild stronger foundations. Yet this time, the challenge may lie less in external threats and more in internal healing. For the average citizen, this means shifting focus from blame to dialogue, from fear to understanding, and from polarization to cooperation. It's easy to point fingers at the other side, but true resilience is forged when people begin to recognize shared values and mutual hopes beneath the surface of disagreement. In a world increasingly driven by reaction and outrage, the real strength of a society may come from its ability to pause, reflect, and act mindfully. This is where ancient wisdom, like that found in Buddhist teachings, offers quiet but powerful guidance. When we are tempted to respond with anger, mindfulness calls us back to compassion. When overwhelmed by uncertainty, we are reminded to return to the present moment and take one step at a time. In this way, Baba Vanga's warnings, if indeed they speak to a coming storm, need not be interpreted as inevitable doom, but as a mirror held up to a nation that still has time to choose a different path. As we look ahead to 2025, perhaps the question is not, will America collapse, but rather, what will we choose to become in the face of division? The seeds of renewal already exist. In community efforts, in honest conversations, and in individuals willing to seek wisdom over judgment. Instead of waiting to see whether a prophecy will unfold, we can actively shape the future by how we respond today. And maybe, just maybe, the story of the United States in 2025 will not be one of collapse, but of awakening. As we reflect on Baba Vanga's mysterious visions for 2025, one thing becomes clear. Whether nations rise or fall, the future is not set in stone. It's shaped by our choices, our actions, and our collective wisdom. Her warnings are not just predictions, they are invitations to look deeper, think critically, and live more consciously in a world full of change. If you found value in today's journey and want to keep exploring the wisdom behind ancient prophecies, global shifts, and spiritual insight, don't forget to like this video, share it with those who seek deeper understanding, and subscribe to the Journey of Wisdom. Be sure to turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming videos that continue to reveal the truths hidden in plain sight. Until next time, may you walk your path with clarity, compassion, and courage.